Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Hello dear students, I hope you are all doing well. Welcome to another video from your channel Easy Chemistry for All. This is Mr. Muad. Please share and subscribe to the channel. If you didn't subscribe, please subscribe. Click on the notification button to receive the updates, and share so that hopefully many more students can benefit from these videos. Thank you very much. Okay, so we continue our journey in our chemistry topics. So we are still in the chapter of chemical reactions, and this is the last lesson in it. Reactions in aqueous solutions. Okay, so we'll be focusing on reactions that happen in aqueous solutions. And mainly we will be focusing on double replacement reactions. Okay, so we'll be focusing on double replacement reactions. That is the main reaction we'll be focusing on in this lesson. So what do we want to do? First of all, describe what we mean by aqueous solutions, المحاليل المائية. Write complete ionic and net ionic equations for chemical reactions in aqueous solutions. We'll see what that means. And then we will predict whether reactions in aqueous solutions will produce a precipitate, يعني solid, water, H2O, or a gas. Okay, so we'll see what that means in a second. So what type of product do we get here? Okay, imagine reactions are happening here. What type of products do we get here? So in here you can see bubbles, في bubbles صح? So we get a gas. In here نشوف مادة قاعدة تترسب, a precipitate, so we get a solid. And in here we get H2O liquid. You will see why I'm showing you this, guys, okay? So what are the keywords of this lesson? Solvent, اللي هي المادة المذيبة, is the substance that is present in bigger amounts in the solution. Example, water. Okay? المذيب. Solute, the substance that dissolves in a solvent, اللي هي المادة المذابة, نفس السكر أو الملح. Example, sugar and salt. Okay? Now, what do we get if we mix both of them? We get a solution, a uniform mixture that contains solids, liquids, or gas. Okay, so solute plus solvent will give you a solution. Now, what do we mean by aqueous solution? The aqueous solution is a solution where the solvent is water. So you will put the solute but inside water, and then you will get the aqueous solution, right? So, what happens to the ionic compounds in aqueous solutions? So when we put NaCl in water, الملح, salt, what happens to it? So it actually dissociates into the positive ion and the negative ion. Okay? So basically when we put NaCl in water, what will happen is that water molecules will break it down into positive ions and the negative ions. Okay, so the ionic compounds consist of positive and negative ions, which we know from term 1. Okay, when some ionic compounds dissolve in water, يعني في aqueous solutions, their ions can separate, يعني they dissociate. مش كلهم, البعض منهم. وراح نعرف كيف نحدد إذا مين اللي يذوب في الماء ويتفكك ومين اللي ما يذوب في الماء ويتفكك. Okay, so this is very important. So what is the solute here in this reaction? The solute is NaCl, المادة المذابة, and the solvent is water. And this is what we saw in the previous example, okay? So when a substance dissolves in water, a solution is formed. An aqueous solution contains one or more substances called solute, and water is the solvent in the aqueous solutions, okay? Now, what will happen if we put molecular or covalent compounds? مش ionic compounds. What will happen if we put covalent compounds? So many covalent compounds like acids اللي احنا تكلمنا عليها الفصل الدراسي الأول. For example, HCl. When HCl, hydrochloric acid, dissolves in water, what happens to it? So when we put it in water, AQ means it is in water, it will break down into H plus and Cl minus. And this was the definition of an acid. الأسيد دائما يكون لي H plus when I put it in water. Okay. So many molecular compounds can dissolve in water. Sugar, alcohol are molecular compounds that exist as molecules in aqueous solutions. مثلا alcohol مثال المعقم. في معقم اللي هو سائل صح؟ So that's actually just ethanol inside water, okay? So compounds that produce hydrogen ions in aqueous solutions are acids. Example is HCl. When you put it in water and it gives you H plus and Cl minus, so this thing is an acid. وهذا شفناه in term 1. Okay? So that's the definition of an acid. Now, 1 second, sorry. So in aqueous solutions and their reactions. So look at these reactions, guys. Try to stop the video and find some similarities among these three reactions. شو المتشابه هنا من حيث نوع التفاعل، عدد المتفاعلات والنواتج, and so on. And what is different? What can you think? So you can think about a lot of things, okay? First of all of them are double replacement reactions, right? All of them are like AB plus CD gives me AD plus BC. Sorry. Plus CB. Because this is positive and negative, positive and negative. Positive goes with the negative, positive goes with the negative, right? So all of them happen in water. Look, all of them are aqueous, right? And that's what we mean by aqueous solutions and their reactions. Two reactants, two products, طبعا نعرفها من double replacement reactions. And all have one AQ in the product. So in the product, you will find all of them have one compound that is aqueous. But what is different is one reaction has a solid, one reaction has water, and one reaction has a gas. So that's the difference between these three reactions, okay? So this is actually a precipitate, solid, مادة صلبة تترسب, ما تذوب, okay? This in here is water, reactions that form water, okay? And here the bubbles are actually the gas, so reactions that form gases. So what is unique about reactions that take place in water? What do we mean take place in water? يعني in aqueous solution. That's the main idea. So again, I told you we are talking about double replacement reactions. So double replacement reactions occur means happen, يعني تحدث between substances in aqueous solutions and produce precipitate, مادة صلبة, like this, solid, يعني solid, okay, water or gases. يعني على حسب التفاعل I will either get a precipitate, water or a gas or no reaction. يعني أكيد طبعا ممكن ما يحصل تفاعل, مو بلازم يحصل تفاعل, لكن إذا حدث تفاعل أجيب يحصل لي إنه واحد من هاي الثلاثة يتكون, يا إما solid precipitate or water or a gas. So we will start with part 1. We will focus on reactions that form a precipitate or a solid, okay? So we already know what do we mean by double replacement reactions, okay? I just want to show you some words here, maybe you will read it in the book. Soluble معناها قابل للذوبان. Insoluble غير قابل للذوبان. Okay? Solubility هي قابلية الذوبان. So please take notes of these keywords. So we know about the double replacement reactions and how we make the exchange plus with minus, and then you write your equation. درسناها in the previous video. So have a look here, guys. Look at this reaction. This is a double replacement reaction, right? And you will find here that this is a precipitate. It's a solid, okay? So basically, how is AgCl precipitate formed? So this is an aqueous solution, this is an aqueous solution. If we mix both of them, يعني هني عندنا ال NaCl هذو في المي تحت, وضفت عليه قاعد أضيف عليه هني ال AgNO3, مين اللي راح يتكون؟ راح يتكون NaO3AQ، وهاي المادة البيضاء هاي هي ال AgCl solid تترسب. That's why it's solid. So this is real, huh? This is a real reaction. Okay, when you mix NaCl and AgNO3 you are going to get this solid thing. يعني احنا كيف عرفنا ان هي solid؟ جربنا، العلماء سووا تجارب وكتبوا هاي التفاعلات ووضحوا شو الحالة الفيزيائية لل AgCl. Okay. Now, how can we describe what happens to the ions in a double replacement reaction in an aqueous solution? Because we know that this is Na plus Cl minus, this is Ag plus NO3 minus. هاي الأيونات تكون ذايبة صح؟ So what happens to them? How can we describe what happens to them? How is the reaction happening? For example, in this reaction, what happens to the ions? How do I get this? Okay. What is the overall reaction? What is the net reaction? So we use something called ionic equations. Okay. We use something called ionic equations. What are ionic equations? An ionic equation that shows all the particles in a solution as they exist is called a complete ionic equation. What do we mean by this? We mean that if you have a compound that has AQ, an ionic compound, you have to show it as a positive and a negative ion. Because in water, the ionic compounds are breaking down into positive and negative ions. Okay? So that's the complete ionic equation. It shows everything. Now, ions that do not participate in a reaction are called spectator ions. الأيونات المتفرجة. يعني الأيونات اللي ما تشارك في التفاعل نسميها الأيونات المتفرجة، قاعدة تتفرج ما تسوي شيء. So spectator ions. كيف نعرفهم في التفاعل؟ These ions appear in both the reactants and product sides in an ionic equation. يعني يظهرون في اليسار وفي اليمين. So, have a look at this equation, guys. I'm going to show you how we do it, okay? But have a look at this equation. Now, this equation is coming from this reaction. 2NaOH AQ plus Cu Cl2 AQ giving me NaCl AQ plus CuOH2 solid. Do you remember when we used to do the double replacement reactions? مش كنا نقول إنه هذا نفكك positive and negative, right? And this one positive and negative. This is what's happening here. I'm just writing them in the equation. قاعد أفكك هاي. ليش؟ Because they have AQ. لأنه في AQ هذا مركب أيوني راح يذوب، يعني يتفكك للموجب والسالب. So I'm writing it like this. Same for this one. Same for this one, the NaCl, because it's AQ. But this thing here is solid، ما يذوب. أحطه نفس ما هو، ما أغير فيه شيء. So this is the complete ionic equation. It shows all the ions that I have. Okay. If you look at the left side, الجهة اليسار هني والجهة اليمين. If you look there, you'll notice something. The Na plus and the Na plus here are the same. Nothing happened to them, right? Also, the Cl and the Cl are the same. So basically, Na plus and Cl minus are spectator ions. هو هذا تعريف السبكتيتر ايونز اللي هم يظهرون في اليسار، الايونات تظهر في اليسار وفي اليمين. الحين الCu plus 2 والOH minus موجودين بس في اليسار، مش موجودين في اليمين. موجودين في المركب، لكن لازم يكونون، قصدي انهم لازم يظهرون نفس الشيء. Cu plus 2 and OH minus، بس they are not here. But Na is here and here. Cl minus is here and here, so they are the spectator ions. So this is called the complete ionic equation. Okay? Now, we need to remove the spectator ions because we have another type of ionic equation, and this is the net ionic equation. So net ionic equations are ionic equations that include only particles that participate in the reaction, no spectator ions. الأيونات المتفرجة موجودة في اليسار وفي اليمين. مثلا عندي معادلة 3 plus x equals 3 plus 5 plus y. الثلاثة والثلاثة هني في المعادلة نقدر نكنسلهم صح؟ يعني نفس الشيء في اليسار وفي اليمين. So same thing here. The spectator ions are the same in the left side and the right side. So we can cancel them. Can you see? So we cancel Na and Na. We cancel Cl and Cl. And then we get 2OH minus Aq plus Cu plus 2 Aq gives me CuOH2 solid. Hi, this one is the net ionic equation. So this is what I meant. This is what I meant by this question, guys. How can we describe what happens to the ions, okay, in double replacement reactions? هذا كان قصدي إنه we describe it using these ionic equations, okay? So the ionic equations are complete ionic equations and net ionic equations. We have two types. The complete ionic equations show all the ions in the reactants and products. يعني any AQ, any compound with AQ, you should break it down into positive and negative ion. Net ionic equation does not show spectator ions. يعني نحذف ال spectator ions, okay? From the left and the right side. So how do we write net ionic equations, okay? So first of all, you will have a reaction like this. Of course, the reaction is going to be double replacement reaction. If you did not study double replacement reactions, please go to the previous video and we are going to revise it here, so no problem. Okay. So the first thing, guys, they might give you the reactants and they will ask you to write the products. هذا اللي تعلمناه الدرس اللي طاف. So you break this down into positive and negative ion. Positive and negative ion. طبعا لازم نكون عارفين ان ال Na في جروب 1 شحنتها plus 1, Pa جروب 2 شحنتها plus 2, SO4 polyatomic ion. We already talked about this in the previous lesson, so please go back there in the video and revise it. Now, positive with negative, so you will have NaClAq plus BaSO4 solid. الحين بتسألوني Mr. How did we know this is a solid? I will tell you, don't worry, okay? It's coming. I just want to show you how to write ionic equations and then I'll tell you why this one is AQ and why this one is solid. دائما المتفاعلات AQ because these are double replacement reactions in aqueous solutions. تمام? Of course, when you balance the equation, you are going to put 2 here, balancing, okay? Now, what do we do, guys? We look at the equation. We look at this equation. Look at anything that has AQ. Anything that has AQ, I need to break it down into positive and negative ions. Okay? Anything that has AQ, I'll break it down into positive and negative ions. الحين عشان نسهل علينا الموضوع and in order to not make mistakes, how many NAs do you have here? 2. So you break this down into 2 NAs. How many Cl's do you have here? 2. So this will be 2 Cl minus. I cannot say Cl minus 2. This is wrong. Okay? I can only say 2Cl minus. لأن Cl minus بروحها. Alright? I cannot have 2 now. This one is a solid. It will stay the same. So only I will do this for only AQ. هي اللي أفككها الأيونات. الحين هاي 2 معناها عندي 2Na and 2Cl. So I'll put 2 here and 2 here. Now the complete ionic equation. نحط السهم. Now write these as 4 reactants. يعني Ba plus 2 AQ plus 2Cl minus AQ plus 2Na plus AQ plus SO4 minus 2 AQ. نروح لهاي الجهة. BaSO4 solid. Okay? So this is BaSO4 solid plus this thing here, okay? 2Na plus AQ plus 2Cl minus AQ. Because we need these to keep the equation balanced. Now, what are the spectator ions? So spectator ions, مين هما? You will find 2Cl minus here and 2Cl minus here. Find Na plus and Na plus. So the spectator ions are Na plus and Cl minus. ليش استاذ ليش ما اخذنا التو؟ التو بس تقول لك عددهم كم، لكن انا ابغى اعرف مين هم ال Na plus وال Cl minus. So to write the net ionic equation, very easy. Just remove them. Remove the spectator ions. Just remove the spectator ions. So you are going to get Ba plus 2 plus SO4 minus 2 AQ gives me BaSO4 solid. Okay guys, الحين هذه الطريقة اللي سويناها راح تطبق على جميع التفاعلات when they ask you about ionic equations. This is the same way. The only problem that you might have is knowing the charges of polyatomic ions and other things اللي هي مراجعة من term 1 اللي تكلمنا عليها in the previous video. Okay? So, how do we know that BaSO4 is actually solid? كيف عرفنا إنه هو solid? I don't know if this is in your book, I don't think so, but these are called solubility rules for common ionic compounds. يعني كيف نعرف إن المركب الأيوني اللي بيتكون هل بيكون soluble يعني solid or AQ. solid معناها insoluble، تتذكرون تكلمت لكم عليها، يعني ما يذوب، والAQ معناها soluble. هذه نفسها نفس precipitate. هذيل الثلاثة معناهم نفس الشيء، والAQ معناها soluble يعني أقدر أفككه لpositive and negative ion. So soluble compounds يعني AQ نذوبهم. Compounds containing alkali metal ions اللي هم من group 1. أي مركب فيه هاي الأيونات okay and ammonium nitrate bicarbonate chlorate group 17 SO4 minus، هذيل المركبات اللي فيها كل اللي فيها هذيلا تذوب في الماء يعني AQ. لكن احنا عندنا هني SO4 solid ما تذوب في الماء. كيف؟ هني في exceptions. شوف مثلا السلفيت يقول لك exception إذا كان السلفيت مع ال Ag+, Ca+2 Sr+2 Ba+2 اللي هو عندنا هني وال Hg وال Pb يكون solid. غير عن هذيلا يكون يذوب في الماء. عشان شي BaSO4 is a solid. Okay? So شو هي المركبات اللي هي insoluble يعني solids؟ المركبات التي تحتوي على carbonates, phosphates, chromates and hydroxide. These are polyatomic ions. أي مركب نشوف فيه هذيلا بيكون solid. إلا إذا كانوا مع الالكالي ميتال ايونز اند امونيوم ايون اللي هم فوق هني. يعني اذا عندي Na2CO3 الCO3 المفروض سوليد صح لانه موجوده في هالمركب، لكن يقول لك اكسبشن اذا كانت مع الكالي ميتال ايونز اللي هي مثلا ال Na فتكون AQ. اي شيء غير عن هذيلا بتكون سوليد. يعني مثلا CaCO3 سوليد. ليش؟ لان الCO3 موجوده والCa مش واحده من الاكسبشنز او الاستثناءات. And the same thing here with OH minus. The compounds يعني تذوب فقط مع مين؟ مع group 1 metals ومع الايون Ba plus 2. يعني مثلا ال Ba OH2 this is AQ. يعني I can write it as positive ions and a negative ion. But if I have Ba if I have MgOH2 this will be solid لأنه هو مش من الexceptions. تمام؟ فهاي solubility rules it's nice to know it, it's good to know it. It will help you understand why we do this. طبعا حتقول من وين جبنا الجدول؟ العلماء جربوا سووا تجارب في المختبر وحطوا هاي القوانين على حسب اللي شافوا مواد تذوب مواد ما تذوب وهكذا. Okay? So that's what happened. This is just a revision on how we do double replacement reactions. We already talked about it in the previous video, okay? So now we go to a problem. Write complete ionic and net ionic equations for each of the following reactions that might produce a precipitate. Use NR to indicate that no reaction happens. يعني إذا ما كان في تفاعل حط NR. Aqueous solutions of potassium iodide اللي هو Ki AQ and silver nitrate AgNO3 are mixed يعني يتفاعلوا forming the precipitate silver iodide يعني AgI solid. اوكي؟ في الامتحان ممكن يعطيك المعادلة ممكن ما يعطيك. هذا السؤال المفروض in the previous video. Listen to. This is from the previous video. يعني what you should do, you should write Ki AQ plus AgNO3 AQ and then break down this into plus and minus ions, right? Positive with the negative, and you will get KNO3 AQ plus AgI. هو يقول لك إنه هو solid هني، مش لازم نستخدم الجدول. يقول لك هو precipitate solid, so you know that you will put S. وهذا التفاعل اللي عندنا. And you have to check that it's balanced. So whenever you do a reaction or you see an equation لازم دائما نشيك إنه equation is balanced. Okay? So how do we write? So this is the chemical reaction. هذه هي chemical reaction. Part A هو هذا. Now part B اللي هي complete ionic equation. كيف نكتبها؟ قلنا إنه كل ion كل مركب فيه AQ نفككها إلى positive and negative ion. Okay, so positive, negative. هذا ما نلمسه أبدا لأنه solid. أي شيء غير ال AQ we don't touch it, we don't change it. K plus NO3 minus. So write the complete ionic equation. It will be K plus AQ plus I minus AQ plus Ag plus AQ plus NO3 minus AQ. حط السهم AgI solid plus K plus AQ plus NO3 minus AQ. Okay? Now, what are the spectator ions, guys? So you should, now this is the complete ionic, right? What about the net ionic equation? Just remove the spectator ions. You will notice that K plus and K plus, NO minus 3, NO3 minus, NO3 minus. So if you remove them, you are going to get the net ionic equation. اوكي الحين عادي انه هاي نعكس مكانهم. اوكي يعني AG plus I او I plus AG. ليش؟ 2 زائد 3 يساوي 5، 3 زائد 2 يساوي 5. ما راح تفرق، اهم شيء ان هم موجودين في جهة اليسار. اوكي so it's the same thing. And that's how we do it, guys. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to practice. That's what you need to do. Okay, practice the questions on your book. I will send you in the Telegram group, inshallah. I will send you the solutions, or you already have the solutions of the chapter. في Telegram group already موجودة حلول الchapter. فمسائل الكتاب practice on it and check your solutions. الحين نروح للجزء الثاني اللي هو forming water. Remember احنا قلنا double replacement reactions can form water, gas and precipitate. احنا خلصنا من الprecipitate. الحين نروح للمي. Okay. So remember, a compound that produces H plus in a solution is called an acid from term 1 and from the previous few slides. So example, HCl gives me H plus and Cl minus. When we put HCl in water and gives H plus, it gives H plus and we call it an acid. Okay. So HCl is an acid. وهذا اللي يحصل في المي انه ال HCl تتفكك ال H plus وال Cl minus. These are some examples of acids, guys. Okay, HCl, HBr, H2SO4 and so on. دائما يكون في H plus وأيون سالب. Any compound that produces OH minus in a solution is called a base, اللي هي القاعدة. Okay, so for example, NaOH gives me Na plus and OH minus. So if we put NaOH in water, it gives OH minus and we call it a base. اللي هي الأحماض والقواعد. Okay, so these are examples of bases. Okay, so the metals are in red. In which group of the periodic table, guys? You will notice K and Li are in group 1, Ca is in group 2. So this is just for you to notice. Okay, if we have a metal oxide and water, it will give me a basic solution. And if we have non-metal oxide and water, it will give me an acidic solution. Okay, so I'm showing you this just for your general understanding. Tamam? But the most important part is this: reactions that take place in aqueous solutions and produce water. So عشان شيء احنا شرحنا الاسيد والبيز. So guys, whenever you have an acid and a base, okay, reaction, you will always get an ionic compound and water. This is called a neutralization reaction or an acid-base reaction. تمام؟ هذا التفاعل اللي ما بين الأسيد والبيز. Neutralization لأنه يكون لي مي. المي is neutral. Water is neutral. Okay? So, these are examples of neutralization reactions, guys. Okay? So if we look here, Cl plus NaOH gives me, so this is AQ and this is AQ. Guys, this is the same as double replacement reaction. يعني كيف نعرف نحن شو راح يتكون؟ We just do the same as double replacement reaction. This will give me H plus Cl minus. This will give me Na plus OH minus. And what you do is you take the positive with the negative, So you will get NaClAq اللي هو ionic compound أو salt plus الحين لما أدمج ال OH minus مع ال H plus دائما تعطيني مي تعطيني water. So whenever you mix these two to make a compound it will give you H2. وعشان هيك احنا نقول لأن هذا التفاعل يكون لي دائما مي لما يكون عندي أسيد وبيز. أما هي طريقة الحل عشان نعرف شو يتكون هي نفسها بالضبط. Okay? So now we will see an example. Write chemical, complete ionic and net ionic equation for this reaction. So mixing sulfuric acid and potassium hydroxide. So potassium hydroxide is KOH. Produces water and aqueous potassium sulfate. هذا الكلام أنا كتبته هني ووزنت المعادلة. So this part you should already know how to do. لازم نكون already عارفين كيف نحول الكلام إلى معادلة. Okay? And balance it. Now how do we write complete ionic equation? اتذكروا نفس ما قلنا في البريسيبيتيت أي AQ نفككها إلى positive و negative صح؟ So this is H plus SO4 minus 2 K plus OH minus K plus SO4 minus 2. الحين كم H عندي هني 2 so I'll put 2 here. How many K's do I have? 2 وال OH كمان 2. How many K's do I have? في 2 K so 2. So write the complete ionic اللي هي رقم 1 هني. So 2H plus AQ plus SO4 minus 2 AQ plus 2K plus AQ plus 2OH minus AQ. سهم H2O is a liquid, we don't touch it. So 2H2O liquid plus 2K plus AQ plus SO4 minus 2 AQ. هذه الكومبليت ايونيك لأنها تبين لي كل الأشياء اللي فيها كل المواد كل الأيونات اللي أقدر أكتبها. Now net ionic just remove the spectator ions. مين ال spectator ions اللي عندنا؟ عندنا ال K وعندنا ال SO4 minus. So net ionic equation بتكون 2H plus AQ plus 2OH minus AQ and it gives me water. Okay. لاحظوا إنه دائما لما يكون عندي في double replacement reaction in an aqueous solution the net equation for making water التفاعلات اللي تكون المي for the net equation for water is always going to be the H plus and OH minus giving me H2O. This will be always the net ionic equation. طبعا على حسب وزن المعادلة على حسب وزن المعادلة ممكن يكون في 2 2 2. So if you notice here I can do something, right? I can do something here because the ratios 2 and 2 and 2, right? So I can divide everything by 2 to make it in the lowest ratio. So it will be H plus plus OH minus gives me H2O. Okay? So this is the net ionic equation. So both of them are. So in order to remove these coefficients, I mean, because they have a common factor. Okay. Okay. So guys, we can write it like this, as I told you, or write it without the 2's. Okay. So we can write both of them because this is the net ionic equation. And you need to practice these problems, guys. Again, you have the solutions on the Telegram group. الكتاب موجودة في Telegram. Now we go to part 3, which is formation of gas. Okay, or forming a gas. طبعا الفكرة كلها نفس الشيء. You have a double replacement reaction, okay, and it makes you do the double replacement and you will find the gas in the product. So reactions that form gases. A third type of double replacement reactions that occurs in aqueous solutions results in the formation of a gas. يعني يتكون غاز. واحد من النواتج يكون غاز. Some gases commonly produced in these reactions are carbon dioxide, hydrogen cyanide, hydrogen sulfide. يعني حيكون عندك واحد من هاي الثلاثة في الغازات. واحد من هاي الثلاثة فقط. Carbon dioxide, hydrogen cyanide, or hydrogen sulfide. So if you see one of these three, you should know that these are gases. Okay? So this is an example. This is a double replacement reaction, H plus I minus, Li plus S minus 2, Li with H, sorry. The S goes with H, the Li goes with I, and then you get a gas here because it's H with S. So H plus 1 and S minus 2. Do it like the ionic compounds, you will get H2S, and this will be a gas. لأنه هو هذا hydrogen sulfide. Okay? So this is the chemical equation. Now if I want to write the complete ionic equation, it's the same as we studied, guys. So everything that has AQ, you are going to divide it into positive and negative ions. لا تنسى إذا في اثنين لازم إن إحنا نحط الأرقام تكون صحيحة. 2H 2I, so 2H 2I 2Li 1S, and we don't touch the gas, ما نلمس الغاز, and then you have 2Li and then you have 2I minus. Remove the spectator ions. Okay, when you remove the spectator ions, which are I minus, Li plus, you will get this following equation, and this is the net ionic equation. يعني هي كلها نفس فكرة اللي أخذناها من قبل، لكن بدل ما يكون في solid أو water عندنا gas. Okay, so write the chemical complete ionic and net ionic equation for a reaction between hydrochloric acid and aqueous sodium sulfide. So HCl AQ plus sodium sulfide Na2S. هذه كلها أسماء من الفصل الدراسي الأول, how to give names to ionic compounds, and this is the acid hydrochloric acid, which produces hydrogen sulfide gas. So they already told you that you are going to make this gas. Of course, they don't have to tell you. You can just divide this into the positive and the negative ions. Take this with this, and this one with this one. So you will get NaCl AQ plus H2S gas. And we need to balance the equation, okay? So now for the complete ionic, الcomplete ionic equation بتكون 2H plus AQ plus 2Cl minus AQ plus 2Na plus AQ plus S minus 2 AQ. مستر ليش الاس هني ماينس 2؟ لأن الاس موجودة في جروب 16 من الجدول الدوري. 2Na plus AQ plus 2Cl minus AQ plus H2S gas. Now if we remove the هذه هي complete ionic equation. زين هذه هي complete ionic. إذا نريد نكتب النت ionic, it's going to be 2H plus S minus 2 gives me H2S gas. Q. ليش؟ لأن احنا نكون نحذف spectator ions, okay? So the spectator ions هم ال Na plus و Cl minus. Alright? And this is what you see here. And now we go to the final part, guys. The final part, آخر part عندنا اللي هو overall equations أو المعادلات اللي هي المحصلة. Okay, the total equations. Okay, total or overall equations. What do we mean by that? So overall equations, two reactions can be combined and represented by a single chemical reaction. يعني إذا عندي معادلتين أو أكثر ممكن أجمعهم مع بعض ويعطوني معادلة كيميائية واحدة. Example, okay, there is a double replacement reaction between these, okay, so this is H plus and Cl minus, Na plus and HCO3 minus, positive with negative, positive with negative. الحين ال H مع ال HCO3 minus يعطيني H2CO3. Now this compound, both of them are AQ here. This compound makes another reaction, another decomposition reaction into water and CO2. Okay, this is carbonic acid. هذا هو الكربونيك acid شفناها الفصل الدراسي الأول. This compound will break down into water and CO2. So there are two reactions happening here. Reaction number 1 and then reaction number 2. Okay? So how do we add these two equations together? Okay? So the first thing, write the reaction number 1 اللي هو هني, right? And write reaction number 2. Now, how do we add these two equations? Add the reactants together. نضيف المتفاعلات مع بعض اللي على يسار السهم. So HCl plus Na HCO3 plus H2CO3. نحط السهم وبعدين نضيف النواتج مع بعض. Add the products together. So H2CO3 plus NaCl plus H2O plus CO2. Now you will notice there is something here, right? This thing and this thing are the same. So we remove them. So your overall equation is going to be HCl plus Na HCO3 gives me NaCl plus H2O plus CO2. This is liquid, this is gas, this is AQ, this is AQ, this is AQ. Okay? So basically that's what happened, guys. So we remove the similar things في اليمين وفي اليسار. This is the combined equation and this is the overall equation. Now this overall equation we can write for it complete and net ionic. Okay, we can write complete and net ionic equations for this. So أي شيء فيه AQ قلنا نفككه للموجب والسالب. As you can see here HCl, H plus and Cl minus. This one is Na plus HCO3 minus. And NaCl is Na plus and Cl minus. Now remember to remove the spectator ions. The spectator ions اللي متشابهين في اليمين وفي اليسار, صح? When we remove them, we get this equation, okay, which is the net ionic equation, and this one is actually the complete ionic equation. يعني نفس اللي كنا ندرسه بس الحين طبقناه على overall equation, okay? So what happens to ions in an aqueous solution of sodium chloride when it is added to water? So when I add NaCl inside water, what will happen? It will dissociate, يعني تتفكك إلى الأيون الموجب والأيون السالب, صح? What do complete ionic equations have that net ionic equations don't have? شو اللي موجود في الكمبليت مش موجود في النت ionic؟ spectator ions. لأن النت ionic نحذف spectator ions. Which of the following is true? Water is not true. غير صحيح. Water is always the solvent in aqueous solutions. هاي صحيحة. When ionic compounds dissolve in water, their ions dissociate. صح. Compounds that produce hydrogen ions in aqueous solutions are always bases. Wrong. Acids. So this one is not true. Okay? What is an equation that combines two reactions called? So when we combine two reactions, we call it the overall equation. And that's the end of lesson 3, guys. Thank you very much. Try to practice more and more on this. Watch the video again if you want. You can play the speed at you can play it at a faster speed. وممكن نستخدم كمان اليوتيوب translation اللي يحط لنا الترانزليشن تحت ترجمة. And yeah, thanks again guys, and see you in the next video inshallah. Take care.